Dale Carnegie, in his famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, explained one principle on how to make people like you. And here it is: appeal to the nobler motives. He explained that before you ask other people to do something, explain the motives. Explain how this activity has a strong correlation to that person. Today on the Champion Forum podcast, we discuss the importance of getting the how out and focusing on the why. I love being told what to do. Have you ever found yourself saying these words? I love being told what to do. Have you ever heard someone say that? It's likely that you haven't. Nobody enjoys having to do something, but most people love getting to do something. Isn't it true? If you're in leadership, you know that this is absolutely true. And think about this not only from the lens of a leader, but think about this from the lens of a follower. Even if you're listening today or you're watching online, you have been led by somebody. But now maybe you're in that leader chair. Do you like getting to do something better than having to do something? You probably do. And changing the focus from how to why in leadership, it's a powerful approach that can drive greater engagement, motivation, and alignment within an organization. You see, when you take this posture, you are providing purpose and you're providing meaning to the people that you lead. How and why, they're received very, very differently. Think about this. No matter what industry you're in, this is applicable to you. But let's just role play this for a moment. Let's just say that you're in a manufacturing company, something that even if you're not an expert, you can identify with. You have these two approaches of how and why. And I really want to draw this out for the listener because what I find is more than not, leaders are really good at delivering the how. And why is that? They get busy. They get running fast. I think if I paint this picture, it's going to give you an opportunity to kind of self-assess, do a little bit of reflection, and find out, am I more of a how leader or am I more of a why leader? So here we are. We're in this manufacturing company. And the task is that we need to increase production efficiency, which probably applies to every industry, by the way. So here you are, you're the leader. You're going to give some instruction. We want to implement the new automation system to reduce production time by 20%. Sound familiar? Like who doesn't want to do that? Every leader could applaud that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's reduce production time by 20%. And we're looking for an outcome, right? Anytime that we give a how, we give a task, we give an instruction, we're expecting an output. We're expecting an outcome. And what we want from this outcome is we want efficiency to improve, but employees might not feel connected to that, right? I mean, it's good for us. We know what we're trying to do. We know the task. We need more efficiency. We know the instruction. We got to reduce production time by 20%. And we know the outcome. I mean, this is going to be great. Efficiencies are going to improve. But here's the thing. Did you connect the employee? Did you connect your team to the mission? And in this how example, you really didn't. Now look at this contrast to a why-focused approach. The first thing is the vision. Our goal is to provide high-quality, affordable products that improve everyday life. Now think about, I mean, you could just stop there. And think about the difference in this how approach and the task versus a why-focused approach where we're starting with vision. And then, of course, with both, just like the how, we're going to do that with the why as well. There has to be a level of instruction. So here's the level of instruction with the why approach. By increasing our production efficiency, we can make our products more affordable and accessible to more people. This automation system will help us achieve that. So let's work together, team, to make sure that this is implemented smoothly and effectively. Now let's talk about the outcome with the why approach. The employees understand the broader impact of their work. What does this do? This leads to greater buy-in. This leads to collaboration. How is task-oriented? Why creates engagement? How drives compliance? The why captures the heart. Now we're mission focused. We're not task focused. When we become mission focused, we become endeared to the mission. People are more inspired and motivated when they understand the deeper purpose behind their work. Knowing the why gives their task and roles a deeper sense of meaning. And when people understand the mission and the vision of the organization or the purpose behind a new change or task, they're likely to be more engaged and committed to their work. And let's talk about this, leader. How fast does change happen in your organization? If you're like most organizations right now, it's rapid. It wasn't that long ago we were in the depths of a pandemic. What did that do to your company? How fast was change happening then? Were you how focused or were you why focused? And this is especially important when you're embarking on major changes in your organization. And the list goes on. Let's stop for a minute and talk about artificial intelligence. Don't know where your organization is with this, but I can tell you this is a disruptor. This is going to drive change. This is going to force the hand of senior leaders and executives. And so then what are you going to do? You just going to send a big email out to everybody and say, here's the big change, it's coming. Good luck with that. Not everybody's going to buy in. What you're hoping, if you do it that way, is that you have a lot of compliance police running around with big sticks, whipping people into submission. Then again, you're going to be driving compliance. And as soon as the leader steps out from the arena, as soon as the leader steps out from the circle of influence, the work stops, the engagement stops. There is no engagement. There's just compliance. Why? Because change is hard. And it becomes even more challenging if it's void of purpose. You can be perfect at change management, and it's still hard. But when you are going through change, as painful as it is, and it's void of purpose, this is when people start jumping off the ship. This is when turnover starts going high. Or worse yet, turnover isn't happening, but toxic employees are staying and they're commiserating. This is void of why. When people understand that there may be temporary pain, but it's going to lead to greater success, they're more likely to embrace the pain that is needed to get to the better days ahead. We've all been through this as people. If you're listening, you probably have already embraced this. You understand this. You already know that temporary pain will lead to greater days ahead, and the temporary pain will lead to the mission forward. But not everybody has the vision and the knowledge that you have as a leader, which is why it's so important to drive the why behind the change. As a leader, it's our responsibility to help drive the proper perspective of people. This is really where the rubber meets the road. Perspective is bliss, as they say. And perspective is somebody's opinion of what's happening. And by the way, this isn't about right or wrong. We've all been in that leadership situation where we said, look, they've missed it. They don't get it. Well, that might not be your fault, but here's what I am here to tell you. As a leader, it is absolutely your responsibility. Your responsibility as a leader is to take ownership and change the narrative. How do you do that? You do that by great communication. You do that by instilling purpose, because proper perspective is critical when you're building a great culture within your organization. I'll give you an example of this in my own life. And as I was thinking about this topic, this one popped in my mind. I live here in Pittsburgh. A few years ago, I had a very important meeting I needed to get to downtown. And if you know anything about Pittsburgh, that is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's not the biggest city in the world. I'm here to tell you, you know that. But the traffic is absolutely wild. We got 3 rivers. We got a downtown that basically can only be accessed by a 4-lane road that goes through a mountain. It's just absolute chaos. And getting to downtown is a challenge, even on the best of days. And of course, of all days, I got this important meeting, and what happens? I hit traffic. But wait, when I say I hit traffic, I mean I hit traffic miles before the normal traffic of downtown Pittsburgh. You know, typically you're at the top of Green Tree Hill, and that's a good day. I'm talking like I'm like back to the interstate. If you're local, you know what I'm saying. This is not. There's nothing good about this. And I have this crazy important meeting coming up. And I'm literally contemplating like just getting on the berm and hammering down and taking my chances on, the cops finding me. Needless to say, I'm beyond frustrated. What could be happening up there? Like, people need to learn how to drive. Can't they figure out, a way that we can all just drive at a normal pace through a tunnel that goes through a mountain. Like, this is maddening to me. It's always frustrated me on the Green Tree Hill going into downtown Pittsburgh as to why there's a pileup going into the tunnel. Like, nothing magical happens going into the tunnel. And these are all the things that are going through my mind. I am furious. Like, I could bite through a steel nail. That's how upset I am, because these morons in front of me, and this is, I'm just being vulnerable. This is what's going through my mind, and don't judge me. You all have been there. I spent the next several minutes in my car fuming in my mind, like losing all composure. Why? Because I had this big meeting. I had somewhere to go. A few miles later, in the distance, I could see there's multiple police officers and ambulances all over the place, clogging the whole road up. This thing's down to one lane. And as I passed the scene of the accident, I saw EMTs aggressively doing CPR on a human body on the side of the road. Wow, what a plot twist. You want to talk about a raw experience. My frustration and this angst that I had turned to prayer and sadness. I mean, in an instant. Here's this person on the side of the road, literally fighting for their life. All of a sudden, being late to the meeting didn't seem like that big of a deal. So what happened? What shifted in that moment? I'll tell you what changed. My perspective. My perspective changed immediately when I saw the reason behind the chaos. It makes me wonder. I wonder if there was a sign where the traffic was starting to pile up, like at the beginning of where the traffic started to slow down. And there was a sign there blinking, and it said, there's a deadly accident ahead, and someone's on the side of the road fighting for their life, and we're trying to save them. Please be patient as we do our best to remedy the situation. I can tell you this, if I would have saw that sign, it would have probably changed my attitude in the car. Because I would have been like, look, I do have this meeting and it does suck. But you know what happened on my way leading up to the accident? You know what I began doing? I began creating my own narrative, didn't I? And isn't that what we do? And isn't that what the people on our team are doing when they're void of information and they're void of purpose? Matter of fact, I would tell you that sometimes when people understand the why, they start to rally behind the cause. I mean, I'm sitting there driving by this scene and thinking, what can I do to help? And the answer was nothing, but it's going through my mind. Gosh, I wish I could help. The only thing that I even knew to do was to pray for this person, which, I mean, it was like, I just wish I could help. Now, all of a sudden, this adversity that was coming upon me, it wasn't about me anymore. I didn't mind going through all this traffic. I just wanted to make sure this guy was okay. And I realize that this is probably an extreme example, but I want you to remember this principle. But the whole point I want you to get in this is that a clear why can literally change how people think and how they process information. When there's a strong sense of purpose, people become more resilient. We do. Naturally, we do. We're willing to fight for what makes sense to us, right? Innovation happens because people are proactively trying to find better ways to achieve the mission. We see this in world-class companies. They're bought into the mission. Look, love him or hate him, Elon Musk has created this culture. People understand the mission. It's arguably the most innovative company on the planet. Why? Well, why is that? That doesn't happen by accident. People have autonomy. They're not waiting for Elon Musk to walk around to start innovating. They're bought into the innovation. Why? Because they're purpose-driven. The reason I see so often that leaders miss this, it's not because they don't care. It's simply because it's not top of mind. Listen, I'm not coming down on you today. I'm there. I'm with you. I'm in the throes of leadership. I'm in the foxhole right with you. I've been there. Nobody is setting out intentionally to leave their people void of purpose and leave their people void of why. The problem is that we're running so fast. And when we get running so fast, we lose sight of what reality is. But you know what is top of mind? Task completion, isn't it? Task completion is top of mind. Get it done. Go faster. Move, get the orders out, and believe me, I 100% get it. These things are important. KPIs are important. Results are important. Customer service is important. All of those things are. We have very high demands on us. But trust me when I tell you that taking a little extra time up front, it's not only going to save you time down the road, but it will drive engagement among your team that would be impossible to achieve otherwise. You just can't do it. These days of do it because I said so, they're gone. And by the way, this is not a generational thing. I know the older generation leaders, they're getting a bad rap for this. Do it because I said. When I say jump, you say how high. My thank you comes by way of a paycheck on Friday. You don't need a thank you from me. Do your job. Well, here's what I'm telling you. People are not embracing this any longer. Turnover is higher than it's ever been. Retaining top talent is harder than it's ever been. Attracting top talent to your organization is harder than it's ever been. The road to success is all uphill. We know this. And so if we can't just keep doing what we've always done, expecting change, expecting new, as leaders, we have to embrace this and we have to endear our people. To become a leader that's purpose-driven, it's important that you're communicating vision ad nauseum. Once is never enough. This is not a one and done. It can't be that way. The why needs to be reinforced as everyone is vulnerable to fatigue. Can you imagine, going on a family vacation and you're on a 100-mile stretch and there's only one speed limit sign and you have to remember it for the next 100 miles? That would be setting you up to fail, wouldn't it? That's not what they do. Every 3 to 4 miles, boom, there it is again. Why? That's the mission. That's the vision. I need to make sure you know. Boom, here comes another sign. Here comes another sign. Like what? Are they questioning our intelligence like we don't know how to read the first sign? No. They're saying, look, I'm saving you from yourself. And as leaders, that's really what our mission is. And it's so engaging and it's so endearing. Find ways to help people make personal connections to the why. When you can achieve this as a leader, and not just say, this is the new change, this is the new policy, do it or else. Or, hey, if you do this, I'll give you a cookie, right? We can't do that. When we tie a personal connection to the mission, to the why, it's game over. Why? Because then people internalize this. And I saw this firsthand. When I was a service manager at Cintas Corporation, we were on the cusp of launching flame-resistant clothing. And boy, we were out here. I mean, we had regulations to back us. There was some enforcement taking place as, this is a PPE. This is saving people's lives from arc flash and molten metal. And I mean, look, we were fishing out of a barrel. This was great. But it wasn't great for the person that had to wear these clothes. This first generation of flame-resistant clothing, it was like wearing armor. It was hot. I mean, summertime, you're in a plant, you're an electrician, you're at the panel making changes. There's no AC. It's 95 degrees out. Everybody else is in short sleeves, and here you are, head to toe, in garments that don't breathe. But hey, the good news is, if that panel does explode, which, by the way, how often does that happen? It'll save your life. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze for these people. And so there was so much resistance into this. And despite my best efforts to train our salespeople and to let them know, look, you have to compel people that if this panel were to blow up, it's going to be metal hitting them that's hotter than the surface of the sun. You know what? It wouldn't matter what story we told. It didn't matter like what picture we painted. It just wasn't worth it to them. I ran across this video of this guy called Electro Man. That was his nickname. This guy was in a burn unit for months because an electric panel exploded on him. Almost took his life. And this guy comes out in this video on this stage as an advocate for flame-resistant clothing. Doesn't say a word. He literally just starts stripping off his clothes, takes off his t-shirt, strips down his pants. He's literally there in just shorts. Folks, the scene of this guy, the scar tissue, the skin grafts, And he sits there silent for what seems like an eternity so that everybody could take in the grotesque nature of this guy's mangled body. And his opening line was this: has anybody ever wondered what the number one reason of cause of death is in a burn unit? It's suicide. I was in a burn unit for X amount of weeks. I lost this and I lost that. And that he's talking about the charred skin. And he's talking about how they had to scrape it off of his body. And how it went burn him to the bone. And this guy's passionate. He's got tears in his eyes. And he's like, there's only one thing that would have stopped this from happening. And it's flame-resistant clothing. I know it's hot, guys. I know your environments are warm, especially in the summertime. I know you're going to sweat more. But I'm begging you. I'm begging you, as hot as you think it is in that plant, the misery that you're going to go through in that burn unit will pale in comparison to what the discomfort you have day to day. Wow. Wow. I know these plant managers no longer had to get the whip out and crack it. Get your flame-resistant clothing on. Well, what happened? What transitioned? They internalized the purpose. They internalized the why. Our approach was we were telling them how. We were telling them how. This is how. This is how. This is how. You know what Electroman? Electroman stepped up and said, this is why. This is why. And you have people probably at home that are counting on you to come back safely. Do it for them. If you do it for no other reason, do it for them. Boom, I'm internalized now. Now I don't have to wear FR clothing. I get to wear it. What a shift in mindset. I have found that when people take ownership of something, the leader is no longer driving compliance, but rather what they're doing is supporting engagement. Another great way to drive purpose is for the leader to foster discussion and dialogue. And a great question to ask to do this is, what other benefits do you see as a result of us doing this? Fill in your blank. Now what we're doing is we're bringing them into the conversation. How many of you love just sitting in the conference room and somebody telling you why this change is going to be good for us and goes down 15 bullet points of why it's going to be great? You almost feel like, you know what, is my wallet still in my pocket? Like, what is going on? I feel like I'm being sold a bill of goods here. When you start engaging them with questions and saying, what benefits do you see? Now what they're doing is they're internalizing the benefit. They're internalizing the why. And that's when you can have a cultivating conversation and pull them into the why and also hear their concerns. And certainly celebrate successes that align with the why. Make a huge deal out of every milestone success that you have. I don't care how small it is. Celebrate the smallest of victories. When you do this, this begins to drive momentum and it reinforces the purpose that the new way is absolutely working. Of course, there's going to be setbacks. There's no smooth road with change. There's going to be failures. When you make change, these things are inevitable. Own the failures. Learn from them. Don't hide behind them. That's fake. That's fluffy. Nobody needs that. We need vulnerable. We need authentic. But broadcast these setbacks and these failures. Let the team know that you're adjusting and you're learning as we go. And we're going to make a collaborative push to see the better days ahead. Own the setbacks. Own the failures. Give credit for the successes of the change. Celebrate the why. I hope this episode challenged you to take note of your approach as a leader. Are you investing the proper amount of time to present purpose and the why behind the initiative in your organization? Maybe the change that's coming up in your organization? What changes can you make to be a leader of engagement versus a leader of compliance? I'm cheering for you as you continue to make big impact and affect and impact the people in your organization. Until next week, get the how out and keep turning the pressure into potential.